Welcome back to Best Practices for an Enjoyable and Lasting Marriage podcast series. I am your host, Joy Hope-Minzie, and in today's episode, we are exploring best practice number 2, throw perfection out of the window. Perfection, a lofty ideal that often eludes us in the messy reality of everyday life. In chapter 3 of my book, I confront the myth of perfection and its detrimental impact on marriages. You see, many of us enter marriage with unrealistic expectations, believing that it will be a utopian paradise devoid of flaws or imperfections. But the truth is far from that. No one is perfect, not you, not your spouse, and certainly not your marriage. And yet we often find ourselves striving for an unattainable standard of perfection in our marriage and in our spouse that only leads to disappointment and discontentment. For this reason, in this episode, I challenge the notion of perfection and offer a refreshing perspective on how to truly enjoy your marriage. First and foremost, we must acknowledge that imperfection is a natural part of the human experience. We are all flawed individuals with our own quirks, habits, and shortcomings. Instead of striving to have perfection in our marriage, we must learn to embrace the imperfections in ourselves and our spouses. After all, it is these very imperfections that make us human and our relationship authentic. So, how do we throw perfection out the window and embrace the imperfect reality of marriage? It starts with a shift in mindset, a conscious decision to focus on the positive aspects of our spouse and our relationship. Rather than dwelling on what's lacking or imperfect, we must choose to celebrate the things we admire about our spouse. We can express gratitude for their unique qualities even as we acknowledge their flaws. And when challenges arise, as they inevitably will, let's face it, we can approach them with grace, understanding, and the willingness to grow together. Remember, perfection is an illusion, but love, acceptance, and grace are real. By letting go of our unrealistic expectations of perfection in our marriage and our spouse, and embracing the imperfect beauty of marriage, we can experience a deeper sense of joy, fulfillment, and intimacy. How will throwing perfection out the window impact your marriage today? Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Please join me next week as we explore another essential best practice for an enjoyable and lasting marriage. Until then, take care and may your marriage be filled with love, acceptance, and grace as you throw perfection out the window. This is Joy Hope-Minzie, and until then, may God bless you and may your marriage grow strong and happy, finding beauty even in the imperfections through God's love.